All right, what's going on, guys? So apparently March is supposed to be a really big month for PUBG. Something major is purported to be announced during this month, or at least released, and it's probably not what we're all thinking it is. But we're going to discuss all of this stuff because it's a little confusing as to exactly what's going on with this situation and why March is very special for PUBG. But we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of leaks we have to discuss and some really big changes coming to the game, not only for the month of March, but in the distant future alongside that as well. So it should be a pretty interesting video, and I hope you guys are ready for this one. But I do want to say something really important. If all possible, stick around to the end of the video because I'm working on a big project that I need the entire PUBG community's help from. So more details on that at the end of the video. I really would appreciate your guys' participation, but we'll get to that in a second. Today, I want to focus on the big information and leaks that we have specifically for March and onwards. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. If you want more PUBG content, drop a like, and I also do have a creator code you guys can enter using the link in the description on your PUBG account. And if you do, make sure to let me know in the comments so that I can personally thank you. But anyways, let's get into it. So all of this speculation essentially got kicked off by a tweet from PlayerIGN and other leakers that were talking about how March is supposedly some sort of big update for PUBG. And this probably isn't in the typical sense where we're just getting like the standard PUBG monthly updates. Otherwise, it wouldn't really be that big of a deal as that kind of thing was expected. Also, previous leakers from like years past who have been since inactive have also been talking about March being a bit of a milestone, I guess, in some sense for PUBG, and what that means could be a lot of things. But we have this tweet suggesting, and who knows the validity of this right now, but in terms of the project names, these do sound about right in terms of things that are being worked on. But basically, something called Project Artemis and also Project Cowboy are two things that are currently being developed at the studio. And I guess, and you know, who knows the validity of this tweet, but apparently some of these things have had their information leaked, or to a degree have even been recorded. And what these are could be a couple of different things. Some people were expecting this to be the new Kiki map that's going to be coming out probably at some point during Q2, or I would say this spring. I actually don't think this new map, Kiki, is going to release during the March update. I just don't see that happening. I think it's a little bit early, and we haven't seen any teasers or really any promotional material at all for this map. So I don't believe that to be the case. But in terms of what Project Artemis or Project Cowboy are otherwise, granted, this is a bit speculative, but I was thinking that possibly Project Artemis could be the new Sanhok remaster, or otherwise Sanhok 3.0. We do know from a Korean PUBG developer that said that after like the current Sanhok in the game gets pulled to get remastered, or they're going to be reworking it, I'm sure they've already started it to some degree, but it looks like they're going to be bringing old Sanhok 1.0 back to the game for a little bit. And I don't know, is this something that's exciting to you guys as players? Because I do like Sanhok 1.0. I think it's got a lot of major flaws, but it seems to me the current community reception of it seems to generally enjoy Sanhok 1.0 better than the remaster. So this may be, at least to some extent, the right move in between waiting for the Kiki map and then having something major to chew on for the next couple of like major updates for PUBG. I actually do think that we'll see Sanhok 1.0 most likely before we see Kiki. That could be wrong, but that's the timeline that I'm looking at right now. But there also is Project Cowboy in theory that exists, and to be honest with you, on this one, I really have no idea what this could be. Some were speculating this is PUBG's new game, right? This is basically PUBG 2. That is not the case because that project goes under a different code name, which we're going to talk about later. But in terms of Project Cowboy, I actually have no real evidence or speculation to even go off of. So I would love to know your guys' theories in the comments below about what Project Cowboy really is for PUBG. When I say the word cowboy, it just reminds me of Miramar, but Miramar's already been remastered, and to my knowledge, I don't think they're working on anything too crazy for that map, so I genuinely have no idea what that is. I also reckon alongside the Kiki map, or possibly even before, because we haven't had the introduction of like the new mechanics and also weapons, equipment, stuff like that, that are sort of, you know, customary to a new map. We do know, for example, that Alex the PUBG dev was tweeting about the mechanic in which you can down inside a vehicle without falling out. However, the community almost unanimously, not entirely, but basically voted against it, and I don't think they're ever going to implement this feature because to most people, it sounds like a bad idea. I think they're going to scrap this one. So it's very obvious they're still toying with these already existing in-game mechanics, but that one won't be implemented, it looks like. But the strange thing is, if Project Artemis or Project Cowboy are not maps, and they're maybe not just like, let's say, traditional pieces of content, and it's not even like playlist updates or anything, or a new game in terms of a battle royale, Royale. The only other thing I can think of is it being the Callisto Protocol, which again, if you guys don't know what this is, it's basically a PUBG single player game, which is entirely like thematically is not related to PUBG at all. And to be quite frank with you, I'm really confused as to why or how or even what the purposes of this being in the PUBG universe is. They did change the logo to make or to include the PUBG tag on it for some reason, but I will say the release date for this game was just literally slated for sometime in 2022, and that's currently where we are now. There wasn't anything more specific about that, about like, you know, which quarter or what point in the year, but if this is the really big announcement for March, that would make sense, I guess, but I'm not really sure exactly what that would do in terms of, you know, the majority of PUBG players. Part of me thinks they're going to try to do something special with the next few updates, either when Kiki releases to essentially hype up the release of the Callisto Protocol, or possibly vice versa. I mean, the most amount of players are on regular PUBG, and they ideally want to get people playing this game. So if they're going to do some sort of like campaign to get people interested in the Callisto Protocol, if that's what one of those projects are, I could see that being a real possibility. But we still have the existence of the other project, whatever it is. And again, that's still a little bit unsolved, but I guess we'll see. Now, the other thing I want to discuss real quick is Project Titan, and this one is a bit strange, and for all we know, this is pretty much PUBG 2, or at least the closest thing to what we know right now. A lot of people thought PUBG New State was going to be essentially the PUBG 2 replacement. However, this is a mobile game only, and very interestingly, they're essentially moving away all branding from PUBG. I'm pretty sure they've taken that word out of their name, and it's literally just called New State right now. And apparently, the Project Titan Battle Royale game that's coming to both console and PC is not actually set in the future, so that entirely negates the possibility of it being like New State related. And if it's none of the above, the only other possible solution that I can think of right now is full crossplay integrated between PC and console, especially after release of free-to-play, and now that there is fully integrated at least console crossplay. I know that in theory, I spoke to the devs about this, and they have the capability to enable PC and console crossplay, but there's a lot of reasons that they wouldn't, and I'm not entirely sure if they still really want to go that route. But otherwise, I'm struggling to come up with any other possibilities of what these projects may be, if not at least one of them being the Callisto Protocol, and possibly maybe the other one being the Kiki map. Also, last time I spoke to PUBG devs, we talked a lot about having maybe small items that you can use for crafting in game, and they have done a little bit as far as integrating this into modes. Most commonly, this will appear in some form of like a limited time PUBG Labs mode, but even insofar as the new equipment they've been adding into the regular like loot pool and sandbox and stuff in actual matches, in terms of like things that are non-lethal items, I feel like they're starting to go that route a little bit, where like you can start to put little things together to make new equipment in game that you can use to your benefit. So I'm not sure if that's exactly what they're planning, but that's another possibility in my opinion. Also, I think one of the only reasons they haven't gone forward with a full-on crafting system is it was pretty controversial to a little bit of the community. There's some people that are really for the idea and some that are quite against it, and understandably so in some case. But at the end of the day, we have a vague outline of what we can expect and what we're getting, but I do hope we get some more clarity in terms of what is coming to the main game, and also the peripherals as well, whether that's any other titles, but like also the Callisto Protocol, which I'm gonna predict right now is probably going to be announced this month. And if that's not the big update, then I am still open to the possibility of it being a new map or something. But yeah, that's pretty much it for all the leaks and info right now at this point in time. But real quick, my big important announcement. So I'm working on a PUBG iceberg video. If you guys are familiar with these, this is basically anything like obscure or somewhat unknown elements of PUBG that are very interesting to discuss. It can be within the game, it can be outside the game. You guys know how icebergs work, and if you don't, I would recommend doing some research. But what I've done is linked a Reddit post in the description that I've posted, and you guys feel free to add entries and info for this iceberg, and I'm going to take a lot of time to put it together, and then I'm going to make an entire video about it when it's ready. So dive as deep as you can and find the weirdest, obscurest things about PUBG to add to the iceberg that would be interesting to discuss. Once again, the Reddit post can be linked in the description. Make sure to drop it all over there. But anyways, I would really appreciate you guys' participation in that, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video regardless. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new to the channel. And if you really feel so inclined, feel free to use my creator code, also linked in the description. It would help out a ton. It does directly help support the channel, so thank you guys very much for that. And again, if you do, please let me know so that I can thank you personally in the comments below. But hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Take it easy, and I'm gonna go for now. Have a good one, and peace out.